A lot of the players we're talking to have picked up colorful nicknames in the Negro leagues, but none more intriguing than Ted Double Duty Radcliffe. We'll find out the explanation in a moment. But first, let's note that Double Duty had a very long baseball career, from 1928 to 1950, as a player and manager. He was with the Detroit Stars, St. Louis Stars, Pittsburgh Crawfords, Homestead Grays, Columbus Bluebirds, New York Black Yankees, Brooklyn Eagles, Cincinnati Tigers, Memphis Red Sox, Birmingham Black Barons, Chicago American Giants, and the Louisville Buckeyes. Now, how did he get that nickname?
I was with the Homestead Grays in 1931, and we played the Lincoln Giants in Yankee Stadium for the championship. And Satcher pitched the first game and won it, and I called him in the first game, and I pitched the second game. Satcher won 4-0, and I won 3-0. And so Damon Runyon, the old sport writer, gave me that name that it was the price admission of $2 to see Double Duty Radcliffe in action. That's how I got the name.
You played on the All-Stars against the white teams. Did you have a different way of playing it, either tougher or softer?
Well, when you played against Bob Feller and Bob Lemon and Desert D and those fellas, they were good pitchers and experienced pitchers. They knew more about pitching than the colored boys. Of course, the colored boy could throw just as hard. I had a good curveball, but they didn't have the finesse. But it wasn't any different. We beat them just like we beat the regular colored fella. We played them, I never was getting 43. We played them 16 games from on the coast that whole winter. We didn't let Satcher lose a game. He didn't lose a game the whole season. We played 16, and Satcher would start every Sunday because he wouldn't go all the way all the time. Sometime he did, because we had 6 pitchers. And we played them 16 games, and we beat them 11 out of 16. We had a great team. We had Cool Papa, Willie Wells, Buck Leonard, Horace Walker, Bubba Hyde, Spearman. Our pitching staff was Satchel, Verdell, Matthews, and Lefty McInnes, and Booker McDaniel, Hilton Smith, and myself. And I was a regular catcher, too.
I have heard it said that when the white ball players played you, they played kind of dirty, especially dirty. Is that true?
No.
Slide hard, sharpen their spikes?
No, they wouldn't take that chance. You know that much money they made. They were glad. They wanted to make the extra money. And we drew good crowds everywhere we played. Now you know, if we playing with the big leaguers, and we're splitting 50-50, and we are making $2 and $2.50 a game, and high as $3.77 a game.
Per man?
Per man. We made high as $3.77 for a man in Los Angeles, and high as $2.80 in Frisco, a man. And we had 16-team roster, 16-man roster, both teams. Because I never will forget, we were playing in Hollywood and had a sellout crowd. And Bob Feller came around and told me, because I was running the team for Abe Saperstein, he was a bookie. He said, you better go around and check up, he said, because they tried to get us for $2,500, they'll get you too. So we went around and sure enough, they had us $25 off the top. And so we said we wouldn't play anymore, and they come up with the money. Bob Feller used to use my car when we was on the coast. Whenever he'd use my car, he'd always buy me a Kavanaugh hat or a nice, they had those Chinamen out there making those shirts, those imported shirts out there. And he'd always bring me a shirt or something when he used my car, a box of cigars. I thought he was one of the nicest fellas ever lived. I thought Bob Feller and Dizzy Dean were 2 of the nicest fellas ever I played with. The nastiest fella ever I played with that didn't have nothing to say to him. Wouldn't say nasty, but the only fella that I know that didn't communicate with the color was Ted Williams. The first year he came up in 37, we played him on the coast, and he didn't say anything to anybody, never did. And
White or black?
He never did play anymore, but he was just that way. But Bob Feller, Bob Lemon, Bobo Newsom, we barnstormed 3 years with the American League All-Stars, and they had Jimmy Fox and all of them. And they were very nice.
What's the best game you ever played?
That I ever played in? Well, I have played in so many. One of the greatest games that I've ever pitched was against Satchel. I was managing the Memphis team, and we played 14 innings, no score, darkness. I pitched 14 innings. Satcher went 7, and this big boy, schoolboy Griffin, he went the other 7. But I didn't give up any run, and they didn't get any run. We didn't get any run. I'm calling the doctors. That was one of my greatest games. But the greatest thrill I've got, see, I played in 12 All-Star games. I pitched in 4 and called in 8. One of the greatest thrills I got, the East had us beat 2-1 in the 8th inning, and my brother Tribble, and I hit a home run up the deck behind him. That's the biggest thrill I ever got in my life, because there was 46,000 people that day.
In Comiskey Park.
That's right. We had high as 56,000 out there, but my brother played in 13 All-Star games, and I played in 12.
Well, listen, Double Duty, are you bitter about the fact that you didn't make the major league?
No, well, you know how the world was in those days, and that's the fact that I come along too early. And you can't change things. I had a nice career. I made a little money for his baseball going, because I was making $700, $800 when the others fellas wasn't, because I could pitch and catch when the others fellas wasn't making but $300 and $400. So they always, and I managed 22 years out of the 36 I played. So I don't feel better. Only thing I feel better against baseball today, they don't give the colored fella a chance to manage, and they got a better reputation than all the white. They broke all the records. They don't put them in the office. They're not good enough. They're good enough to draw the people, but they're not good enough for those high positions. That's the only thing I kick about. They don't have but one colored umpire, and all the colored ball players that come out, they got a one-eyed umpire in the American League, Bill Kunkel. He lost his eye in the hunting accident and couldn't pitch no more, and they give him an umpiring job. Now, you know, a man with 2 eyes can see better than a man with 1. There's quite a few ball players that just knows the game. Now, why to keep behind DeRocha? He couldn't win with Brooklyn with an all-star team. And to keep behind different fellas to come right back like Billy Martin. He's a radical. You know that. You know what he is. He should be a prize fighter instead of a baseball player. And to keep behind those fellas, but you got men that's out of baseball that's played up there is capable of managing. Now you got Gilliam, Frank Robinson, Maury Wills, a smart ball player. On the bench, he's not. They don't come any better. Integration, 47 is a long time. 47 is a long ways away. Now, you know, there should be more progress in what they've made. They should have some colored umpire. They should have some executive or a couple of managers at least. Some scouts. You got a few scouted bird dogs, but they're not scouts. Integration in baseball has a long, long ways to go. The first step was the players on the diamond. They haven't gone any further. There's a lot of steps to go.
Double Duty Radcliffe, who never made it to the big leagues, notes that there's still a long way to go in baseball integration. Well, it's often said that Roy Campanella would have made a great manager if it hadn't been for his accident. He certainly had a history of succeeding wherever he was. Campanella played 10 years in the Negro Leagues, but his place in the Hall of Fame is probably based on his equal amount of time in the majors. He played for the Brooklyn Dodgers and won the National League's Most Valuable Player Award in 1951, 1953, and 55. He also set a career record for home runs by a catcher, 242. Campanella suffered a terrible car crash shortly after his playing days, which left him a paraplegic. His condition made it necessary to check in and out of hospitals periodically, and our conversation took place at his bedside. We began by talking about his first year in the Negro Leagues.
I was still in school. I started at the age of 17 in 1937, but I'd only play. I would go to school Friday up until 2 o'clock, and after 2 o'clock I was out of school. I would always meet the team someplace on Friday and play Saturday and Sunday. And Monday, they would always see that I'd get back to Philadelphia, which was my home, Sunday night, and I'd go to school Monday morning. I did not have the knowledge that this would lead me to the major leagues and to the Hall of Fame. If someone would have told me that, I thought, you must be kidding. I never had this type of idea. But the youngster today, the black youngster today, can look forward to this and prepare themselves with a schooling and a college education and prepare themselves for this. See, at this time, we had nothing to look forward to. And the youngster today, the black youngster today, has that to look forward to if he has the ability and education to go along with this.
Now, when you came up to the major leagues, you were already known as a very savvy catcher, as an intelligent, experienced man. Now, did you get all your training in the black leagues?
Well, after 10 years in the Negro National League with the Baltimore Elite Giants, and then I played, we played 100 and some games a season. I'd say the Negro Leagues prepared me for the big leagues because I had a lot of training. And we used to play 3, and I can even recall one day I played 4 games in one day.
2 doubleheaders.
That's right. We played a doubleheader at Crosby Field, Cincinnati. I caught both of them that afternoon and went to Middletown, Ohio that night and caught another doubleheader. Now, I can never remember anybody except the fellas that played in that game that ever played 4 games in one day. As long as I'd get a turn at bat, I never did get tired.
When did the thought first cross your mind that you had a good chance of going to the major leagues?
Well, I was in an exhibition game on a black team playing against a Major League All-Star team in Newark, New Jersey, a night game. And the manager of this Major League All-Star team was Charlie Dressen. And he was coaching third base. And one inning when he come, as we were changing innings, when I was going up to the catching box to catch, he passed by me and said, "I would like to talk to you after the game." So when I met him after the game, he asked me, would I come over to, that was on a Friday night, asked me, would I come over to the Dodger office that Saturday morning? And I told him I was going to stay in New York that night, but I didn't know the way by subway to get to the Dodger office. But I figured it out, and I made it, and I went over there to see Mr. Branch Rickey, and this was the outcome of it. Mr. Rickey had a book over an inch thick of different things about me that he read to me. They had been scouting me. I knew nothing of it. Where I was born, where I went to school, what I did in school, how I got along with people, and what I had done in the Negro Leagues. I had no idea I was being scouted. As the first time I got the first inkling that I might wind up as a Major League player one day.
And where was Jackie Robinson at that time?
Jackie was in New York at the same hotel, at the Woodside Hotel. We were preparing a Negro All-Star team to go to Venezuela to play that winter, and they had picked Jackie to play shortstop, and they had picked me to be a catcher. And how I come to know, the day that I went to Ebbets Field, Jackie was over there the day before. And Jackie called me, and we talked together in the hotel. And Jackie explained to me, he said, you know, I was over to the Dodger office and signed a contract with them to play for Montreal next year. So I said, oh, that's why, Mr. Rickey, because I didn't want to sign, and I didn't.
Why not?
Because Mr. Rickey didn't give me the impression it was for the Dodgers. They were going to form another Negro League. Now, this was the impression he had misled me. He didn't mislead me, but he didn't want to give anything away. And I told him I wouldn't be interested in jumping Baltimore to go to another team. I think they were going to call it the United States League or something like that. But he asked me definitely, don't sign any contracts with anybody. So I told him I didn't. And he did contact me in Venezuela just at the end of the season, and I did come up to Brooklyn and talk to him, and that's when I signed them.
You spent 10 years in the Negro Leagues, 10 years in the Major Leagues. I want to ask you to compare the life of the ball player in the Negro League and the ball player in the Major League.
You could play one place today and get in that bus after the ball game and ride all night and play the next day. And you don't hear a lot of gripes and groans and fellas moaning that they couldn't just accept it. And no team had more than 15 or 16 men on the team. You had a four-man pitching rotation. They would pitch every day. You didn't get knocked out the box in that league, not too much. Now, I know I have played every position, even pitch, on our team in the Negro Leagues, from shortstop, second base, first base, outfield, and catcher and pitcher. They would call them giving me a day of rest when I played the other position.
Tell about a game.
Well, I can recall one game we were playing against the Homestead Grays in West Virginia. Now, this goes back to about 1941, and Josh Gibson was the catcher for the Homestead Grays. And I know Baltimore had one of its top pitchers pitching that day, Andrew Porter. And I was catching, and the first 3 times up, Josh Gibson hit 3 home runs. So, and it looked like the first one just did go over the fence. The next one went a little further, and the next one went a little further. So I went out and told our pitcher, undoubtedly, we're not pitching this guy right today. So he said, well, I've always had a habit going out talking to the pitcher like this. I said, well, look, we don't have to get the manager in on it, but let's just pitch him bad and see if he'll swing in one of those innings. So we wind up walking him. But this guy, and the last home run he hit, pretty near went over the top of the mountain. Not over the fence, but over the top of the mountain. And this is why, in my opinion, this has been the greatest home run hitter ever. And I played against Aaron. I never played against Babe Ruth, but I've never seen a man. I played against Ted Williams. I played against Joe DiMaggio. I played against Stan Musial, Mickey Mantle, Mays. But I've never seen a man to hit home runs as graceful and with the easy swing as Josh Gibson.
Now, I want to ask you to compare the day-to-day life of Major League, Negro League player, hotels, food.
Each player would get 50 cents a day for meal money. Now, that was back in 1937. And, okay, you just had to survive off of that 50 cents a day for your meal money. Yes, eventually it was raised up, but look, let's face it, there was no comparison in what the Major League teams would do and what you could do in the old Negro National League and Negro American League. See, we had 2 leagues too, and they were pretty good leagues in my opinion.
What was the difference in baseball, on the field, the style of play?
It wasn't as restricted. I mean, in the major leagues, when you tell a runner not to run, he better not run. But they didn't go as far. I know I've heard managers in the Negro League say, look, if you get a jump and you think you can steal a base, you try to. As long as he knows you're trying to do that, he can tell if you get the lead. I know one night I was on third base. Now this goes back to the Dodgers. I was on third base in St. Louis, and Alston was coaching third base. And I got a good lead. So he said, well, if you think you can steal home, go ahead. And I walked off the base on the next pitch, and it was a left-handed pitcher, Al Brazel. And I did. I went on and stole home. I'll never forget it. I played ball for 20 years, and the first time I ever stole home in my life. And I just about walked home. But nobody didn't believe it, but I stole home. But then I'll go right back to the Negro League. Yes, it was. We had loose play, and where one play was in order, you take for granted for the guys that bat. Say if the bunt's in order, and you have a real good hitter at bat, you might just take a chance, say, let this guy hit. I wouldn't ask Josh Gibson to bunt no runner over. I don't care what the situation was. I'd take my chances on him hitting the ball for an extra base hit or something. And then we had quite a few fellas in the league just like this, that you wouldn't sacrifice this man to let him bunt in the late innings. Go ahead and let him swing. If he hit into double play, well, normally he wouldn't, but you'd give him this opportunity. Look, the big difference between the Negro leagues and the major leagues, I'd say, is the finesse. You can bake a cake, and if you don't know how to put the icing on the top of it, it doesn't look as good. Yes, all the Negro leagues could play ball, but there was more discipline, and there was more signs, and a lot of the managers in the major league played strictly by the book. Strictly by the book, because being a catcher, I would catch my games in the major leagues according to who was managing the other team. I knew the way he played. Now, in the Negro leagues, you couldn't figure this out, because one time you 2 runs behind and look for a man to bunt. This guy might be hitting. And the biggest difference was, yes, your hotel accommodations, you're riding in buses all night, and the next day you got a doubleheader 500 or 600 miles away. But the bus would always make it. Even to relieve, we had a regular bus driver. I know I have relieved our bus driver a lot of times. When he would get sleepy, one of the players would drive. And this is the way we kept rolling. And we would stop off at maybe a grocery store and buy a lot of cold cuts and a loaf of bread and sardines and things, and make sandwiches, so we couldn't stop. I know one of the biggest jumps we made, we played in Baltimore one day and played in Detroit the next day. Yes, and we made it in plenty of time right on the bus.
Campy, tell us something about what kind of a man was Jackie Robinson?
I'm going to say Jackie Robinson was Jackie Robinson. Jackie could do things and dare you. He would dare the other team. He was one of the greatest competitors to accept what he accepted and still compete.
What exactly did he accept? And I guess you accepted also during those first years in the major leagues.
Look, I'll tell you, they let the ball talk for them. Most of the pitchers let the ball, they would throw at you a lot. Because it got so that the average individual was ashamed to holler out at you. But when you'd come to bat, the pitcher would throw at you a lot. Yes, throw at your head. And you had to be able to duck. One day I was batting in Milwaukee. Lou Burdett is a great guy. So when I come to bat, okay, he knocked me down on the first pitch. I didn't mind, so I got up. When I got up again, the next pitch he knocked me down again, which means throwing at my head. So, okay. So that's 2-0. So I got up again. I wasn't too mad. The next time I got up, he knocked me down again, and after he knocked me down that time, I went out to the mound after him. So we had it off, and then both teams left the bench. They didn't let me get to him, but that's the only time that I really did. I got a little outrageous that night, because I didn't mind being thrown at, but 3 times in a row, I didn't want to accept that, and I didn't. And we had a lot of incidents. I can recall one in the World Series. We were playing the Yankees, and the grand old man of baseball hollered out to Vic Rashy. I'll never forget this. It's late in the ball game. He said, "Stick one in that nigger's ear." And it happened to be a fastball, and I stuck it right up in the left field seats. And the Dodgers won that game 3-2. Well, this didn't bother me. If I had let these things bother me, I wouldn't have been successful.
Who's the grand old man?
Casey Stengel. But these things, look, when you're playing professional ball, as I said before, when you're playing professional ball, if there's any way to get a guy's goat, you'll try to get a guy's goat. And one of the greatest things I can say, the Dodgers were the first team to have a black player, but the Dodgers were so successful in having the black player. And I know I played 10 years with the Dodgers. We won 5 pennants. We finished second 4 times and finished third once.
And you won 3 Most Valuable Player awards.
Yes, in a 5-year period. And this was the beginning of the black player in Major League Baseball.